filmmakers in
Hold on.
boardrooms. Hi, I'm Martin Del Carpio. Welcome to Filmmakers in Boardrooms live conversations for our seventh and last episode for the first season. I'm super excited to bring on board cast and crew of The Strange Disappearance of Emily Jayne, a fantastic short film that was completed just recently. And just to give a little background on Filmmakers in Boardrooms live conversations, our intentions are always to bring on board filmmakers, indie, underground filmmakers who are just out there doing what they love, making their films come alive and finding ways, and our purpose is to just hear their stories, their uh, stories of collaborations, or stories of behind the scenes, their struggles, their anything that pertains to helping other filmmakers get an idea of what it is to do this really difficult and very challenging at times, very challenging prospect. So I do want to introduce uh, the cast here, and of course, Adam, the director and writer of The Strange Disappearance of Emily Jayne, and we have two of the actors also here. So if you take a moment, please introduce yourselves and your roles and your background.
I say you should start.
Okay. My name is Steven Adam Renkovish. I'm the writer, director, cinematographer, editor, all of all of it pretty much of The Strange Disappearance of Emily Jayne. My first short film was in 2015. It was called A Beautiful Silence, and it dealt with a woman's faith, her loss of faith, and her renewal of it. It dealt with that sort of faith journey, and then I did sort of a proof of concept for my feature called Fugue. And after Fugue, we shot a feature film on the smallest budget ever that a feature film has ever been shot on. And uh, it went on to several festivals and did well on the circuit. And then I did a documentary about my grandparents' house called 401 Rogers. And then uh, just recently, over the past two falls and winters, we made the strange disappearance of Emily Jayne, and I'd really been itching to do another film after Lilith, but I wanted to do something short scale. And I guess I can never do anything the easy way. So I was like, we're gonna shoot this on Super 8, and I'm gonna write the script in like 2 or 3 weeks, and we're just gonna do it. And then once we had a script, Brittany over here, I always tell people that Brittany is the wind beneath my wings and the fire beneath my ass because she just gets me going. Like once we had a script, she was like, "Well, here's some dates. We can start whenever you're ready." And so, and you'll hear more about that later. Here's Brittany. Brittany.
I'm Brittany Renée. I've known Adam for 20 years, and we met in college and immediately learned of his love for film. I mean, he's just one of those people. I feel like film buff isn't like it's not enough of a term. Like you are a lover of all things film, and he has shared that love of film with me over the years of knowing him. And uh, for better or worse, he would like to dream up ideas, and I would like to say things like, I wonder how we could do that. And so that's kind of been our creative relationship over the years of him being like, well, what, if you finish the script, we could try to do it, right?
Yeah.
And I did like a little bit of stage acting, like sporadically throughout my younger years and college years. So just I enjoy acting, and I've learned to love like the idea of how you put together a film over the years because of Adam. So it's been awesome to be a part of the Refuge Films Fam Jam. And yeah, I'm a nurse by trade, so I don't do this full time, but it is a delight to be able to do it as a creative endeavor in my life. So
Nice. Shelby.
Yeah, Yes. Hi, guys. I am Shelby Willis, and I initially met Adam through working at Starbucks. So we like to say that the siren brought us together, the siren and fortune, of course. We're so fortunate to find each other. And we originally bonded over film, of course, and we got to talking, and our film favorites started to get more and more niche, and that's when we really realized, okay, so you're like really into film. So, and the rest is history. And I mean, Adam and Brittany are family to me. We have just grown so close over this process. I actually have a musical background. I have a music education degree, and I've been a performer pretty much my whole life, so that's kind of where I come from. I've done some stage acting as well here and there, but mostly in the context of musicals and, musical theater, things like that. Yeah, so just really excited to be here. Thank you, guys.
We're super excited to have you guys. So we're going to start with the beginnings of how this film came about. Now, when I watched the film, The Strange Disappearance of Emily Jane, there was sort of like a nostalgic feel to it. I don't know if I'm wrong about this, but when I watch it, for example, when you guys show the carved pumpkin, immediately what came into my mind was Halloween, like the first film. It just gave me that like, wow. But it's a good nostalgic feeling for it. Of course, shooting it on Super 8 definitely gives you that a vintage feel to it.
Mhm.
So what I want to know from I would assuming this is a question for Adam or for Brittany, but how the beginning of this film, like how did you guys come up with the concept? I know Adam is a passionate writer. Um, I'm assuming that's how it all started. You came up with the script, you had an idea, you envisioned everything in your mind, but how did you figure out the look of the film? How did you say, I need this on Super 8 all the way? I need it to be shot like this. Um, you mentioned earlier off camera you're colorblind. So how did you figure out what will go as black and white, what should go in color? Just give us the lowdown in terms of how this whole thing really started for this film.
Well, it basically originated from just this desire and this itch that I needed to scratch to make another film because it had been so long since the awakening of Lilith, and I had to do something, and it was really getting to be a thing with me. So I called Brittany and I told her, I was like, I want to make like a Halloween themed short film. I I want it to be shot on Super 8. And one of the reasons behind that is because when I was a kid, my grandparents kept home videos on Super 8. Um, they had them like digitized, and I think at one point they had them digitized and then put on VHS. So I just remember watching those videos, and I'm on one of them as an infant. I tell the kids at work all the time I'm old enough to have home videos where I'm present on a Super 8 film. So I just love the look of it. Like, and plus, I just love the look of film. There's just a texture to it that you can't get with anything else. And and I was just like, the only way to do this would be to do it on Super 8. And I wanted it to be under 30 minutes because when I was growing up, one of my favorite things to do around Halloween, which I'm obsessed with Halloween, is they used to show specials on the Disney Channel, Halloween specials, and you'd watch those that were all under like a certain amount of like maybe a half hour, like The Great Pumpkin, or or say like The Worst Witch, like stuff like that. It just became like a tradition for me, and I was like, I want to make my own Halloween themed film in this timeline on this format, and just see what happens. And from there, I just started working on the screenplay. I would just every day when I would have an idea, I would take notes on my notes app on my phone or scroll it down somewhere. And once I had enough ideas laid out, I started working on the screenplay. And from there, I would give Brittany and Shelby pages and be like, this is kind of what I'm thinking about doing. And of course, I wanted to bring in the queer themes as well. And that didn't come until later, but it turned out to be a pretty important part of it for me. So we just, I mean, that's kind of how it originated. Just, like you said, the nostalgia was a huge drive, the texture of the film. And I kind of knew you mentioned the color. When Anthony Leroy did the color grade, and I'm colorblind, so I was like, I just wanted to have a fall and autumnal look. And it kind of helped that we shot in the fall and, going on into the wintertime. So the outside, like the exterior scenes, all kind of had that look. And then later we brought in the decorations and kind of dolled up the house to look a certain way. So, it just from there it just kind of happened, and it was just very organic. It didn't feel like, I think this is the most fun that I've ever had working on a film, just based on those things alone. So yeah, that's kind of how all that came about.
Well, you inspire me actually, Adam, believe it or not, because honestly, I love I love the film. I love watching these films like when they're shot on film. It's just so like what you said. There's a different texture to it. It feels more intimate in a weird way. And I love the bleeps and blobs that you get, naturally. And it's just so, and that's what I loved about this film in particular. And I said to myself, I haven't done enough of those. And there's some films that I thought like of mine that I'm like, I wish I could have shot this. But looking at what you did and everything just made me like, you used one of the Super 8 cameras from the 70s. I think it's the Minolta, one of the very beginners camera. Was it the XL 400?
Yeah,
Was it?
we used that one, and then there was the Braun Nizo.
Okay. 70s, right? They're all Super 8
Yep,
from the
All
70s and
seventies.
awesome. I mean, yeah, that's inspiring to just pick up a camera and just do your thing. And I think you were the one shooting all the footage, right?
Yeah, I did all the cinematography. There was one shot at the end of the film. It's the near the end where we see the bag sitting on the seat in the back of the car, and I couldn't get back there. And so Brittany shot that one shot.
Just one.
So but I got to give her credit where credit's due. So yeah, like I shot all this basically. And I usually don't shoot my own film, so it was a challenge for me. And it was just also like we take for granted when we shoot things now, we can instantly go back and look at it. With this, you had to hope you got it right,
Hmm.
and then you had to send it to the lab for processing and scanning, and sometimes that would take weeks. And you would just hope and pray, oh dear God, please don't let anything happen to this footage in transit. Like, and so that was the most stressful part of this whole thing. And luckily, I think we all in all we just had to do one reshoot because I underlit. Um, I think I was just rolling on an empty reel and I didn't realize it because I haven't been able to find the footage that we had to reshoot anywhere. So I think I had a rookie moment. Okay. And so we did a reshoot, but I mean, we made that was one of the funnest days ever.
That was a lot of fun.
So
Like
fun.
A
What?
year later, mind you, a
a,
year
a
later,
year later, we,
Yes.
yeah.
I had no bangs anymore, and I was like, "Oh no, my hair is different. Like, what are we gonna do?" So we were able to kind of obfuscate my face in the one scene that I'm in. It was mostly, thankfully, it was mostly Annabelle in Shelby in those shots. But there's one shot from that reshoot that I'm in, and I'm laying on the bed, and we had to like pull my hair in front of my face so you can
Yes.
see my lack of bangs.
And we also shot everything to do with the drawing in the tree that day because
Yeah.
that drawing played a particularly important part. It was about one of Shelby's friends. Shelby, tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I remember when me and Adam were originally talking about the concept of the movie and just kind of some thoughts about set design and set pieces. And I shared with him that I had this beautiful drawing that's in the film that my friend David made for me for my 18th birthday. And a couple years after that, David actually passed away from cancer. He'd been battling it his whole life, and it was sadly, he ended up passing away. So I shared that with Adam, and he said, "Well, Shelby, would you like to use that drawing in the film? And it can be part of the set and part of the story, and we can pay tribute to David as well." And of course, I was like, "Oh, that would be amazing! Yes, let's do that." So and of course we were very careful with it because it's just, pencil on printer paper, right? So we had to be very, very careful shooting it. But it was just so incredible to have that be a part of this film, and just knowing that David is smiling down, and he would probably say something snarky or like, oh my gosh, that's too sentimental, or but really cool to include him.
And we realized too that the tree in that drawing is eerily similar to the tree in Brittany's backyard.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So, like, I put a side by side photo of it and sent it to Shelby, and we were like, now we have to do it.
We have to.
I love that. I love that. And you know what? That piece of art, I love art. So I enjoyed going into it because at one point the camera brings you into it and you're in another space. So
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk about the themes. Adam, so you mentioned before about the queer theme in the film. There's a couple of themes in the film. I think I've seen this in one of your past films, one of the short films of I'm sorry, The Silence, what's it called? The
Beautiful silence.
Beautiful Silence. Okay, so there's a little bit of that in there as well. The theme of Christianity, I guess, you kind of throw it in there, but you're kind of like, I wouldn't say mocking it, but you're just sort of like going against it in terms, and also the theme of witchery, right? There's that theme of the surreal, if I could say like that, in the theme in the film itself. So I just wanted to, just touch base with you in terms of what inspired you. What personal background do you have in regards to that you feel, because you wrote this film, so what of that, what did you bring from your own personal life to this film in those themes?
Okay, so my relationship with faith has always been a bit rocky. Um, and I guess part of the reason why is, for the longest time I was, in the closet, and so it, I always felt like, you know, there were certain aspects, and obviously not everyone within the even in Baptist circles, they're not terrible people. But I had some, there's always that, there has been a toxic element where it's just like, if you're this way, then God can't love you. And so you kind of I always kind of felt like an outsider, and then I had leaders within the church who let me down in big ways. So through a lot of like introspection and of course creating, that finally led to the creation of A Beautiful Silence, I came to the realization that it wasn't God that I was angry at. It was it was the people who claimed to be Christians. And so um I definitely consider myself very spiritual still. I would even consider myself a follower of the way of Christ, but I don't attend church. And I just kind of do my spirituality in my own way outside of church walls and through therapy and, you know, just I've been doing a lot of journaling. Like I've been able to heal a little bit, and maybe even thought about, even as recent as today, thinking about maybe going back to a church environment that's maybe very inclusive. Because I do miss the community, and I do miss that being a larger part of my life. But it's definitely different. And it has changed. And so I do include elements of that in my films because it's still very relevant to my life. And like with this, like, of course you have the very just, what's the word? Uh,
Ham-fisted.
Well, ham-fisted, but like I don't know, like the character that shows up at Emily's doorstep with the anti-Halloween propaganda and the VHS tape. That was sort of, she was sort of like a what do you call it? Like a composite of like different people in my life.
Adam, your
Yeah, the
audio.
audio's off, Adam.
All right, so I'm gonna step in and
Now,
oh yes, perfect.
perfect.
Sorry about that.
I was gonna go to Shelby. But go for it. Finish up, Adam. We want to
Oh, I was just saying, like, the character that my mother plays. I brought my mother into this. My Southern Baptist mama, she played like a composite of those really like judgmental, that judgmental sect of Christianity that I have such a problem with. But then there's the line at the end of that whole discussion where Brittany says, Jesus and I are doing just fine, thanks. And it seems like a throwaway line, but I just wanted, to kind of throw that in there because, the way of Christ is still a very important part of my life. And I don't want to shit all over that. I wanted to throw a little grace note in there. So yeah.
And what about the witchery theme of this? Is it just part of the story for the film? Is it something that you're fascinated by on a personal level?
I mean, let me tell you, that came from little Adam's fascination with the craft. Okay, like the movie The Craft. And I've always been fascinated with witches, like there was a TV special that I used to love when I was a kid called The Worst Witch. My favorite fairy tale growing up was Hansel and Gretel. So I've had it always kind of kept my mother on her toes when I was growing up because she was like, oh God, like, but like I don't know, like that to me was just something that I really wanted to include was a little dash of witchcraft. And so I did a little research about certain rituals that, that are kind of similar to the one that Emily Jayne takes part in, and then just added my own spin to it. And yeah, like um I had a good time with that. That was fun for me.
Hey, Adam, I love, love the film The Worst Witch.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yes.
Tim Curry.
Ah,
Anything can happen on Halloween.
Yeah, yes.
I watched it. I was trying to create my own. I love witches too. Like I maybe I romanticize like witches or I see them, but The Worst Witch is one of my all-time favorites. I love that you mentioned it.
I
Oh,
adore it. Okay. Um, so yeah, I was thinking of Worst Witch. I was thinking of The Craft. And oh, and there's this vinyl album from 1969 that Shelby and I are obsessed with. It's by Vincent Price, and it's a spoken word album. It's called Witchcraft, Magic, and Adventure in Demonology. So it's just Vincent Price talking about the history of witchcraft over the course of like an hour and a half on a two vinyl set. And I'm obsessed with it.
oh.
Okay. And I pulled Shelby into it too. She knows.
It is to die for. I highly recommend it to everyone.
Yes.
And I do, while we're talking about the witchcraft part of this, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention our Appalachian witch, Bessie Roberts,
Yes.
who plays Adelia. And she plays a character who is so congruent with herself in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. And she brought a little bit of the magic into what made the setup to those witchcraft scenes work, I think. And
Totally.
she provided all of the things in the purple satchel that she gives me are all hers. All of those are her things, her herbs, her tinctures. So it was really, I just feel like we need to call
Yeah.
out
Oh
very
yeah.
highly.
Oh yeah. Jessie dabbles. Okay. Jessie dabbles.
Mhm.
And I love it. I always feel safe with Jessie around because I'm like, she'll put a hex on you if you mess with me.
Yeah, why didn't we do this in October? This would have been perfect.
I know, right?
We'll just have to make another one.
Yeah. Yeah, don't threaten me with a good time, Jalissa.
Mhm.
I can whip that 8mm camera out again in a skinny minute.
And
Do
honestly,
it.
just
Do it. We need more movies about witches. I
Yes.
need it.
and we're
Yes.
conjuring the spirit of Halloween in July.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yes. Summerween.
Yeah,
Summer.
exactly. Like get started early. Why wait until October? Start now.
All right, so my next questions are for Brittany and Shelby. I am so in awe of your performances, both of you, but having a little bit of a background makes me even more in awe of what you guys did. So I mean, separate questions for each, and you guys could answer. But Brittany, I know you mentioned you are by trade a nurse, which is a whole different type of career to this, but you've been doing acting for a lot, 20 years, you said? So something to that effect, on and off.
Yeah, something like that.
So how do you juggle that? Like, how do you juggle that? I mean, obviously you're probably, your daytime job is what helps you keep a roof over your head, food on the table, etc. But how do you keep that passion going as an actor, and how do you figure to yourself, like, how do you train yourself? How do you keep that enthusiasm going to keep learning, to evolve? And how did you prepare for this role, Emily Jayne? And then for Shelby, from what I understand, you met Adam at Starbucks, and this is your first acting role.
Yes.
And trust me, I would have never have known that had Adam never told me that. So
Thank you.
an amazing job. And what was your preparation as a first-time actor taking on this kind of enigmatic role? So
I can start, but there's the saying like live to work or work to live. And I feel like, for me, nursing is working to live in a lot of ways. And so it's so great to have the outlet of creativity. And I've been able to have it in different ways in my life, but being able to make film with Adam and like just a tiny background, whenever we have brainstormed for movies and things that and creative projects that we've done over the years, we always start sitting on Adam's front porch and rocking chairs with a cup of tea. That's always where it starts. Every project has always started in that way. And it's so cool to be able to like, okay, I have this job that requires a lot of the part of my brain that is calculating things and assessing and understanding medications and complex hemodynamics. Like I have that, and that's great. And I'm thankful for what I do. I feel like it is a service to humanity and I'm thankful for it. But to be able to also have the part of my brain that gets to invest in creative telling of art, that is satisfying in a whole nother way. And some of my career has been on night shift. So I've done 12-hour shifts for most of my career, but like something about the night shift and the ways that you kind of connect with the world. And I would sometimes describe it as a different dimension. Sometimes like when you're asleep all day and awake all night, it kind of feels like a whole different dimension. And I feel like, I don't know, it in the creative worlds that we bring, like being able to process like a different dimension is helpful to help my brain be able to jump into the world, the small bit of world building that we do. So I think it's a lot of fun. It's life-giving to me in a lot of ways. And honestly, Adam has pushed me in my creative thinking and my imagination. I think if it were just me trying to like sit down and write a screenplay, I would not be dreaming or imaginative enough. He's like so imaginative and he's got such vision. And I've learned a lot just like watching him like write a screenplay and talking me through it and helping me understand it through his brain and through his eyes. So it's been very very fun over the years to be able to be a part of it.
nice. And how did you prep for this role? Like, what was your, like Emily Jayne, he brought the script. I know he said that he showed you guys pieces here and there, but how did you get into the moment to understand this character? Because something does happen to this character in the title. It says it all. There's a strange disappearance. So how did you understand to go from the journey, follow through to the end?
I've joked around with Adam in the past that he never lets me play a happy character. I always play a very sad character who's grieving things. And I feel like grief is a through line in a lot of
Yeah.
the films that you've written and that we've made together. So I feel like, Awakening of Lilith is basically a whole narrative about a woman dealing with the loss of someone close to her. So I felt like that was helpful background and helpful things to draw from. But this one obviously had a more like, you know, with Halloween and witchcraft and stuff, just a different flavor completely. So I did feel like I was pulling a little bit from the experience that I had in learning how to bring a grieving character to the surface from Lilith, but able to do it in a more fantastical way and magical way in this movie. So yeah, if that kind of answers the question.
Yeah, great. Shelby.
Yeah. Well, I can remember when Adam first approached me about this movie. He's like, Shelby, I'm shooting a film on Super 8. And I remember him saying, I want it to be a love letter to Halloween. And that has stayed with me because I feel that he has more than accomplished that piece. But he said, I want you to act in it. And I said, huh? And because I have musical experience, so I'm very comfortable performing. I've been doing it for many years, but I've never done it on film. So I wasn't sure kind of how it would translate. And I was pretty nervous, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it because I knew that Adam would create a safe space on set to make mistakes. Or if I started to feel uncomfortable, I knew that I could say, hey, like, oh, I feel a little uncomfortable. Adam is so intentional about actively checking in with everyone on set. Like, hey, are you okay? This is in the script. Do you feel okay with that? Is that something you're comfortable doing? So I felt this safe place to try, to show up and do it. And as far as preparation, Adam made for us a playlist for the film on Spotify, and he shared it with all of us. And it's essentially a mixture of songs that are instrumental and like soundscapey, just to put us in the world of Strange Disappearance. So that helped a lot to be able to kind of just immerse myself in the world that Adam had created. And I knew, reading the script that I didn't have a lot of dialogue, right? I had maybe like one or two lines of dialogue. And so in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so I need to portray all of these things, all of what Annabelle is through my physicality, through my face, my micro expressions. I've got to say a lot with my body. So just working on that, my physicality, and also building in my head the world of Emily, Jayne, and Annabelle. How did they meet? What do they like to do together on Friday nights? Where do they go out to dates? How do they spend their free time? So kind of building this world in my head and making it very real so that I could easily kind of jump into Annabelle and be Annabelle, and then be Annabelle from beyond the grave, who has, clearly been changed somehow, and it's ambiguous about what exactly has happened, but you can see it's not quite her. But yeah, I'm just so honored that I am a part of this, and it was an amazing experience.
Shelby, I'm just gonna when Annabelle was like conjured from wherever she was, and when you guys hugged each other, and you had that one look, that one expression, I said, wow, this was everything wrapped up. I immediately knew. And that is really, and I'm gonna applaud Adam partly for that, because I always say this, I love actors, but great performances, the director needs a good director can pull out really magnificent performances. So bravo to you, Adam, because that moment, I even have the chills right now. That moment, I said,
I have chills too.
I said, this is not Annabelle, and this is it. And so that was your glance, your look made that decision for me as to what I thought happened to Emily, Jayne.
Totally.
But all have different perspectives.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I will say that was definitely Adam. I can remember I was hugging Brittany and he said, "Hey Shelby, okay, look over there, look over by, that wherever." He gave me a reference point. And I did. And then like that was kind of he's like, wait, hold on. Let me shoot that again. And so props to him because he saw it and he's like, wait, hold on, we got to grab that. But thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been great, and no pressure, right, Adam? Because you were shooting on film, so it's not like they had the opportunity to do it over and over and over. It's almost like, all right, I'm sure you rehearsed before you shot it to get a feel of it, but
That moment wasn't even in the screenplay. And I just saw it when I told her to look at the reference point, whatever that was.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, well, we're gonna shoot that again. And I wasn't even thinking about the money gun that the Super 8 camera is. I was just like, we gotta get it. I can buy more film. I can come back here on another night. Like, we just gotta do the thing. And we did it, and that's a moment that everyone who's seen it, they remember that.
And I just want to throw in a note on like the character of Emily Jane, and I was just thinking about that now as Adam was talking. I felt like there was qualities that that I felt that Brittany brought in that reminded me a lot of like the movie Carrie, the way Carrie carried herself, this innocence, this kind of like lost character in a way, trying to like put the pieces together. And you know, Brittany, you brought us on an amazing journey too. I mean, you just kind of we're following you through this whole thing, and we're feeling your ups and downs and all of your emotional, like what am I trying to say? The varying emotions that your character brings. So I think that the casting was really well done too here in this film.
Thank you.
and I think another thing that was really well done is just the film references, Adam. I'm a film buff myself, so just seeing like Vampire by Dreyer, seeing that pop in there for a second, it was like, oh,
And I was going to ask that. That was my magic question. I'm like, nobody's going to notice this. That Carl Theodore. I'm like, and here you go. I love you. I love you for that.
and not only that, but Mark Jenkins' film Niesman. I saw elements, a feel of that as well. Of course, you put it in on the TV itself, brilliantly done. William Castle's film, I think it was.
Yes, House on Haunted Hill.
Yes, just I love all of that. So this is going to be a perfect way for me to segue, and you are the first filmmaker I'm going to actually dive into this with because you are a huge physical media collector, and I love that. And there's very few of us out there. It's a very niche audience. So I want to get into that just for a second, and I want to just explore that. It's an expense that most of us don't need really, because still God knows these boutique labels, they charge for these box sets. Criterion's like $600. There's other places like $200, but you get to discover all these films from past directors who, for whatever reason, are forgotten, but yet here they are having some sort of a resurgence because these boutique labels are looking into their work, and you have an opportunity to discover all these great filmmakers, feel inspired, learn from them. It's not just Spielberg, it's not just Christopher Nolan, it's more than that. There's more going on than that. So what I want to just pick your brains a little bit and just understand, what do you get from buying, and I'm not even going to ask you how many Blu-rays or 4Ks you have, because I've seen your posts, but but what is it that you get as a filmmaker purchasing all these physical media, Blu-rays or 4Ks, and why should actors, filmmakers out there educate themselves by going back and discovering all these wonderful films?
I just think physical media, there's just something special about it, because if you go out, it's like when you go out and you purchase a good book. You have this physical copy that you can hold in your hands of this very special book, and Guillermo del Toro had an interesting quote recently where he said something like, if you, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like basically that the idea was if you own a physical copy of a Blu-ray, a book, whatever, like you are the protector of, you are one of the protectors of this work of
Yes,
art.
we're the custodians, he said.
Yes.
Mm.
And so that, that was just a recent quote that really struck me. But I just think that if you love something and it has made an impact on you in some way, shape, or form, you need to own that physically because I don't, streaming's great for what it is, but I remember I purchased the digital copy of Almodovar's Bad Education on Vudu one time, and then one day it was gone. One day it was gone. I think it's back now, but for a minute it was gone. And luckily I had the Blu or the DVD. I actually have an imported Blu-ray of that. But it that just really upset me. And I was like, well, I'm holding on to these things. And I think and I love letting people borrow my films. They have to be very meticulously careful, okay? But I just love and I give people movies all the time. I gift people films like Shelby. I bought Shelby a Blu-ray player because she didn't have one. And then pretty much every Blu-ray that Shelby owns and half the Blu-rays in Brittany's collection, I've given them uh
Yes.
because they need them. They may not realize it, but they have to have those. If I give you a copy of Three Women on Blu-ray, that means I really love you and you should just accept it as a gift and take good care of it and
It's
care.
the sixth love language.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and Brittany, it drives Brittany crazy sometimes because she's like, Adam, I just went to the mailbox. Did you buy me this? I'm like, yep.
More of just like, you don't have to buy me things, but he does it out of love. And it's so
Yeah. I'm like,
sweet.
you're my sister. I do the same thing with Shelby. I'm like, you're my sister. Deal with it. Like, here's a gift. Here's a Blu-ray. Don't
So
ask
Always
questions.
such a pleasant surprise to go to the mailbox. And when I can tell by the shape of it usually what it is. And I'm like, Adam. But I love it.
So Shelby and Brittany, so but Adam, exposing you guys to all these different films and educating you guys, do you feel you're getting something out of that? Do you feel like, oh my God, this is so interesting. Oh my God, I never would have bothered to see this and it's helping me in my craft.
Oh, 100%. The first movie I ever watched with Adam was Donnie Darko. We watched this movie in the winter of 2006. We had just met prior, and he was like, "Let's watch a movie sometime." So we watched a movie. I was living at my parents' house at the time, and I think my family was out doing something that day, and I just remember at the end of it, my jaw was just my brain was trying to comprehend what I had just experienced because it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before in a movie. And then from there, it's just broadened my imagination for what storytelling can be or could be. So I would say it has very much influenced the way I think about films, the way I watch them now, and the way that I bring a performance to or bring a character to life.
And she was the preacher's kid. So, there's that Bible verse, train them in the way that they should go.
Mm-hmm.
I take that seriously. Shelby, you know this.
Oh, yes. And we've trained up many a child in the way they should go.
Yes, exactly. Like, here's the copy of Eraserhead. Okay. Take
Right.
it home, do your Bible study, and then watch Eraserhead. Okay.
Well, Eraserhead is the Bible study. So
Yes, it is.
yes. I
Sometimes
can remember when Adam first started gifting me Blu-rays. In my head, I was like, I don't have a Blu-ray player, but thank you. But originally I wasn't super sold on the idea of physical media. Because I don't know, growing up, it's like I had a million DVDs, and it's like, well, then it goes to Blu-ray because it's constantly changing, right? And Adam was like, I'm telling you, it's a different experience. So I can remember one of my favorite movies in the whole world that I've watched a bazillion times is Coraline. I know the whole movie front to back. I can recite it. It's like an obsession at this point. But I can remember the first time that I watched Coraline on Blu-ray, and I was like, It is different. Oh my word, it's different because I mean, just in thinking about it from the kind of the sound design and the musical side of things too, there's only so much that streaming can hold. There's only so much of a file that streaming can stream, right? But physical media, you have so much more space to hold more depth in your sound design and in your cinematography. And so I just remember being flabbergasted. I also remember the first time I watched The Awakening of Lilith and I streamed it. Of course, I loved it. Then I remember watching it from a physical copy, and there was such a depth to the sound design. I was able to hear so much more from the physical copy than I was from streaming. And so I was like, all right, it's a done deal. I'm a physical media girl now. He's changed me. He converted me.
Yeah, and sometimes with actors, if I've had actors in the past that they don't lack, well, they lack what you don't lack, Shelby, which is for Annabelle, the physicality in a role to be able to project her emotion. So I do tell them afterwards, as a sense, as encouragement, I say you do need to start watching silent films just to understand what that is, because back then they had no sound. These actors had to emote through their bodies as an expression of the eyes, no matter how subtle or how exaggerated it was, but they needed to convey whatever emotions they were doing at the time. So this is where I feel physical media comes into play. We're understanding where else are you going to get these silent films if you want to learn that way too. So for a role like Annabelle, that's a perfect example where physical media comes into play, I think, and understanding that. Um, but you guys, nonetheless, didn't need it. You guys did great on your own terms with Adam's guidance, of course. So I want to jump into the very, I wouldn't say controversial, but interesting question here. Adam, and let's talk about film festivals.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your expectations of them. Let's talk about what advice would you give filmmakers out there who, because it really sometimes feels a little more political in terms of whether you get into a certain festival. We're not talking about the industry festival, Sundance or Cannes or whatever. We're talking about even the top second tier festivals. Sometimes it's even difficult to get in there. And you wonder sometimes, I'm like, well, my film, I feel fits with what they're looking for. And they don't give you feedback in terms of why it was rejected. How do you handle rejections? How do you handle when you're selected? How do you figure out like what worked, what didn't work? What's the cutoff in terms of budget for film festivals where you say enough? This is where I'm leaving it at. Um, how do you approach film festivals and what do you expect of them?
Well, starting off, I do kind of look to see like what sort of films like each festival is looking for. And that's kind of like the first thing that I do. At present, I have submitted this movie and I need to stop. I have submitted this movie to 122 film festivals. I
Ask you one quick question. Those submissions, are they also including queer festivals?
Yes, several queer festivals. I went on a deep dive for all the like we've got a few regional ones and then a few in Europe and then a couple in Canada. So I've submitted to all of those. So far we've gotten into one and I think it's in Italy. I forget what the name of the festival is, but we've been selected for one. We've had 19 rejections so far. Um, and honestly, like having done this for a while, I mean, it's just part of the game. For every selection, you're going to get like 5 rejections or more in this case. So like, and I had one festival emailed me and asked me if I would edit the film and cut the running time to fit their time slot. And I said no, because there's nothing in this film that I could cut that wouldn't ruin it. And I put too much time and money and effort in my actresses and my score composer, Kelly. Kelly Ward did a wonderful job with this film score. And I'm not, I'm not cutting it up for anybody. So, and they'll tell you, when you're about to submit like short films, keep them between like, 5 to 30 minutes, or they'll have like a 40-minute cutoff for shorts. And I understand that a 30-minute short is a chunk, but I also really believe in this piece. And I really think that it's special. Um, and I'm not one to toot my own horn, but like I'm really proud of this one. And so this one means a lot to me. And I hope it does well. Um, I think that there are some scammers out there on Film Freeway that you need to be aware of. Um, ones that promise you, particularly one thing that I've seen with scam festivals that's kind of like a through line is you submit and then they tell you that you're going to get a laurel whether your movie screens or not. And I don't understand that. Like I don't want a laurel that I haven't earned, okay? Because that means nothing to me. If you're just handing out laurels just for the film poster, I don't want that. That doesn't benefit anybody because there hasn't been an audience that sat down in front of your film to watch it. Like you haven't earned that laurel, you know? Um, and so but there are filmmakers that eat that up and whatever, but I'm not one of them. I want to earn whatever praise we get. And there are going to be people who don't like this movie because it's different. And I mean, I feel like most of my work is that way. It's love it or hate it. And I want to know that if we get selected, it's because whoever selected it really found some value in it. And the thing is, rejection hurts, but sometimes with me, just I guess just because of I have some low self-esteem sometimes, that we're working on through therapy. Okay, therapy is therapying right now. So like sometimes when I get an acceptance, I'm like, oh, I don't really deserve that. It's not that good. Like it's imposter syndrome is what the kids call it. So sometimes it's like you can't win for losing, but being selected is it's a nice feeling. It is. If I can hold on to it and believe that that me and my film family deserve it, because I have not done any of this by myself. I couldn't do any of this without my family. My film family means the world to me, and they're just an extension of my biological family at this point. I would take a bullet for these people. I love them so much. We all do this together, whether it's me, Brittany, Shelby, Kelly, who did the score, Jesse, my little Adelia Jesse, who I've known for years. Like Jesse really brought it. And I want festivals to maybe feel that way too. Be like, well, there's something special about this one, and if the right festivals will see that and accept it. And if we don't, we're not going to get accepted into all of them, and that's okay. I think it's just important to kind of temper your expectations a little bit and just know that rejection is a part of this. So you kind of have to
Absolutely.
kind of develop a tough skin because it doesn't hurt the way it used to, because I used to get so offended. Uh, but it still sucks. But
And
it's
yeah, and I know you, Adam, you will cut your arm for cinema. You're a passionate, I mean, beyond 100% for cinema. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted you on this episode, because I really did feel we learn from every episode from every filmmaker, but bringing you on board is like, I know this guy has a real passion for cinema. He really would, give up his arm for cinema just because you love it that much. And that's the passion that I feel that you should start off with anything creative. If you don't got that passion, I don't know where you're going to build anything from, you know. So I appreciate your insights to all of this and everything. Did you want to say something, Jalissa, or?
Um, I'm just very thankful that we had this opportunity. Um, to sit down and get to know you. Um, we started first with the film, at least for me, and then we, stepped into your world. With this film, I believe it will find a home in some festival, in the right festival. And yeah, in terms of rejections, we just had, it's like a badge of honor, like a badge of honor, if you will, like that you're still in it, you're still trying, you're still in a battlefield in there, and you're just like, it's a reminder that you're still present, that you still believe in something, you're still reaching for something and dreaming for something. So I applaud you, and I'm just super thankful. And I meant it. Please make another witchy film, please.
I would love to. I would love to. I'm going to talk to Jesse about. I would love to have a movie where Jesse's character featured prominently in it. She's the one who played Adelia, the one with the banjo. And my two little nieces played the trick-or-treaters and the fairies, and they did such a good job too, so they might make a comeback. So that was the first time I'd ever directed kids,
Oh.
and it was a treasure. I loved it.
So I end every segment with the same question for all filmmakers because I think it's a valid question. It's based on your experiences, everything that you have accumulated. You've made short films, you made feature films. I'm sure they were all challenging in their own ways, budget-wise, everything. Just what advice would you give any filmmaker that's just starting out, fresh out of school, maybe they're not going to film school, maybe they come from a rich family, maybe they don't, but they say, I want to get in on this. I think I can do it. I think I have ideas, etc. And they haven't gotten their feet wet just yet. But what advice would you give them?
I would just tell them, from my own experience, like, don't let anything stop you. If I can go out here and do this and use the tools that I have to make these tiny little movies and do them with the freedom that I have, uh, to carry them out. Like, I feel like if you had just don't get so caught up in the latest gadget or the like all this film equipment that people think that they need to have. Like, you really, all you really have to have is a camera and a vision and a family or a team to help you bring that to the table and put it on the screen. And nothing can stop you. One of my really good friends is Scott Barley. He's an experimental filmmaker. And Scott, uh, he films everything on a dated iPhone. Um, and that's what he's always used is an iPhone, and there's no fancy equipment. He goes out by himself and he films these beautiful experimental films. His feature is Sleep Has Her House. It's incredible. If you've never seen it, you should check it out. But he did that film with an iPhone. And so, Scott told me one time, he was like, I don't care what you use. You shoot your film on a fucking potato if you have to. So, like, don't let anything stop you. Okay. I
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's just like I have cerebral palsy, and I used to think that I wasn't going to be able to do all these things because of, what limitations I thought I had at the time. But like, I have always wanted to create film. Film is my passion. It's what I love, and I'll stop at nothing to keep doing it. And if I can do it with my sisters and the rest of my film family, I mean, I can die happy, and I can't wait to do the next one. Um, and Brittany and Shelby have a couple things cooking. So
Yeah, and I loved your quote, the for sharing that Guillermo del Toro quote. I love Guillermo, and if you could just say or even paraphrase that quote one last time before we close, what does it mean?
it basically means what he was getting at is if you own a piece of physical media, whether it's a book or a movie, even like a VHS tape, you are the you're the protector for that work of art because you own it physically, like it's in your hands. And somebody somewhere, it's like with Brittany or Shelby, like they come over to your house for a movie night and you might not be able to find it on Netflix or streaming, but you have that Criterion Blu-ray or an old VHS tape, and you can share that. You are bringing that work of art into someone else's life. And I think there's nothing more powerful than that, because I live and breathe art and I want to send it out into the world and share it with people because I believe that's where my gifts are.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you.
Oh,
Jalissa, I have so enjoyed speaking with you and Martin today. I can't wait to check out your work.
Yeah.
Martin's work?
I think
Both of you,
both
your
of us.
work and Martin's work.
Yes, you will. You certainly will. Listen, this is just the beginning. We stay connected. We applaud all the FIB community who their accomplishments. Don't lose touch. Don't lose touch. You are part of this, and that's why that's why this is here, because we needed a space. Sure, there's spaces for commercial directors, but what about us? Like, what about us at this level? We have something to contribute. I've been doing this since like 20 years too, and for me it was like, what, like, where is the space for us? Where is our you know our unity? And it's here at this place. So whatever it is, but we thank you. Adam, you stay in touch. I'd be happy. Yes, and I will send you a link to my latest project, and you get to see,
Too.
come into my world.
I would love to see it.
And also, just because we're closing now with Adam and his wonderful film, we also want to do a big thank you for all the filmmakers who participated in the first season. Every single one of them, it just, they're talking about their experiences and everything that they were open to doing this, made this first season for us at Filmmakers in Ballroom very successful. And it's just, me, Jalissa and I just thank you from the bottom of our hearts, just allowing us to come into your world, you included, Adam, just letting us, nitpick a little bit of what's going on. And most, filmmakers sometimes are protective because it's none of your business. You don't need to know this, whatever, but you guys are willing to share your experiences. You're willing to, what you give is what you get back sometimes. And then, you guys are willing to do that and say, hey, this is what it's about. There's the pros, there's the cons. We're here.
And
Exactly.
it has long-term effects. Like, I'm a really big believer, like a kind gesture to someone else, there is this beautiful sort of energy that goes out into the universe, and that love, so there's, Adam, your work, your passion, your what you've created, your art somehow will transcend to other filmmakers, and that energy will keep going. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for this opportunity, for bringing me and my sisters on today. And it's been a pleasure. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Y'all have really inspired me, and I can't wait to continue our dialogue over
Great.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, and in studio.